When you try to be El Shaddai, you end up being I Shaddai and you will die. It's most debasing to beg. It's most abasing to give. So instead of begging to pay your rent because you're living in a house that is not your size, it's better you find out how to calculate your rent and you live in a house that is your size. Because according to my grand mentor, Bishop David Oyedepo, he said, men are in sizes and life is in phases. I found out that many people stress and beg for rent every year because they don't know how to calculate their rent. And so I did this video to help you live in the house of your size.
My acechina. I'm an expert global business solutions expert and your real estate success strategist known as the mayor of housing.
So welcome to the recap of the live stream where every week on Sundays by 6 p.m. GMT +1, we do a live stream and take on a topic that has to do with life, business, money, economy, or anything you choose. And for 1 hour every Sunday, I take 30 minutes to address the topic and 30 minutes to answer any questions, whether related to the topic or any other questions you would have loved to ask me in the comments below. And after that, I will ask a question and the 10 fastest fingers to answer that question correctly get to win 30,000 naira, because we are 30,000 subscribers on this channel. And by the time we get to 40,000 subscribers, you get to win 40,000 naira for 10 people every Sunday, because in this channel we are building the most educative and the most generous YouTube channel in Africa, where we want you to learn and earn. But because of how rowdy the live session is, after every Sunday we decide to recap the same topic where we break it down in a cool, calm and calculated environment to allow those that want to dig deep into the topic to learn better. And the last topic we have on our last live topic was how to calculate your rent. And I did this because a lot of people have been begging me for rent, and I see this all the time. Once people's rent are due, their temperature and their blood pressure begins to escalate as if the rent is a misfit from their earning. So as if rent is a favor or a charity that they hope to pay and hoping for goodwill to pay it. But ideally, you're supposed to pay your rent as part of your earning of your salary. As a matter of fact, before now, employers used to provide accommodation and take out your rent from your pay. And if you analyze most of the salary breakdown of pay, you see housing as part of the breakdown. But because many people are expected to do that on their own, some lack the clarity on how to calculate their rent, and that's why I'm here today to help you out as the mayor of housing. So the basic needs of man is food, shelter, and clothing. In that chronology of importance, it means that food is the most important and you can't do without food. Shelter is the next to food. You can't do without shelter, but you can survive squatting. You can even survive sleeping outside, but you can't survive without food. Then clothing is the next. You can survive wearing one shirt and one trouser for 1 year, but you can't survive without shelter, without food. So after food, the next most important thing is shelter. And food is so important because we become what we eat, so we are what we eat. So the only thing more important in this world than shelter is food. And then it's best you learn to eat to live. Don't just live to eat. So you watch what you eat. And what we eat is so important. The next most important thing is our environment, where we live, and the environment around where we stay, because a Harvard professor, Dr. David McClelland of Harvard, did a research and experiment and found out that 95% of what your success or your failure will be is determined by your environment. So if a beautiful environment does not produce a beautiful mind, you are not living well. You want to live in a beautiful environment, but your earnings cannot afford the beautiful environment, and you go to live in that beautiful environment despite the fact that your earnings can't carry it. You end up having a distressed mind that doesn't give you peace of mind. And the greatest asset in the world, more than your environment, more than what you eat, is peace of mind. So if you are not living in peace of mind or a beautiful mind, you are not living well. So it's better you enjoy a dry morsel of bread with quietness therewith than a house full of sacrifices with strife. So it's better you live in a face me, I face you with peace of mind than to live in a mansion with stress and hypertension. So peace is more luxurious than luxury. So the greatest luxury you can enjoy in the world is not how beautiful the place is, but how much peace it gives you, especially when the place aligns with your budget. So peace without justice isn't peace, it's polite slavery. So when the peace you are enjoying does not come from financial justice to your earnings and your budget, you are just politely slaving away in that beautiful environment. And that's why I tell people, if your rent does not give you peace, you are living in the wrong house. Without peace of mind and fulfillment, it can never be wealth. It can be riches or affluence or money, but not wealth. I sell luxury real estate and I see some people that can't really afford luxury, buy the luxury, pretend they can afford it. When they continue to experience the lack of peace and they are strained, they leave the place. Do you know some people rent houses in estates that ordinary service charge that is supposed to be a walkover for those that can afford to live in that kind of exchange becomes stress to them because that estate is not their size. And some of them use a windfall to pay for rent, and the next year there is no windfall, the rent becomes a distress. So peace of mind is very important and is one of the most expensive and most valuable luxuries in the world. Once you can afford the luxury of peace of mind, you are living in real luxury. And the only thing stronger than your environment is your people environment, the kind of people you live with, the kind of people you become, the kind of neighborhoods you are around, because the law of association is the only law stronger than the law of environment. So people shape people more than environment shape people. So don't just look for beautiful environment, look for beautiful people, and the most beautiful people are people with peace of mind, because iron sharpeneth iron, so people sharpen people, and people carry the vibe, the energy, the flow, and the aura that determines the outcome of your life. So go for people with positive vibe, positive energy, positive aura, positive flow. And one of the greatest people that will determine your peace more than even my houses, my calling is to build environments that build and transmit peace and absolute luxury. But there is somebody that if you have, even in my environment, you'll be living worse than someone in the desert. And that's what the Bible says in Proverbs 21:19. That it's better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. So be careful who you choose as your spouse, because if you can't find peace in her, you can't build a home with her. You can't find peace in him, you can't build a home with him, because your home is where you find peace. So if you can't afford the right environment, you can begin to squat in the right environment. If you can't afford a home, there is no shame in squatting. But before you squat, remember you have to squat in places that gives you peace. Even though a lot of people will tell you they don't like to squat, but you have to start there until your pocket can also like not squatting. You might not like squatting, but the reality of your pocket is that you have to squat. As I started working, I even registered this brand and I was still squatting. And one of the people that made me know that there's no shame in squatting is the late Dr. Miles Monroe. He lived with his parents-in-law for a long time before he could buy his own house and started renting out other houses. So doing something you don't like without saving for something you like is not making ends meet. It's making ends split. So while you're squatting, you start saving for your own house. That you should squat doesn't mean you should be a perpetual squatter. You should learn how to save money while squatting. I saved enough money while squatting to move from my friend's house to the hotel. Could now pay for the hotel. And then when I found out I was soon going to get married, I moved into this beautiful duplex to provide a family home for my wife. So your rent must be at peace with your budget, or you are living in pieces. Many people are living in pieces, not because the environment is not peaceful, not because their partners are not peaceful, but the only person whose distress can distress you more than your wife is your rent. Once your rent is not at peace with your pocket, you are living in distress. And the most misunderstood tool of financial freedom is a budget. A budget doesn't restrict you, a budget sets you free. And if you want to learn more about a budget, I've done a series of videos on Financial Literacy 101. The 7 things you need to do to money so that you are never poor again. What to do to become money and always have money. And Financial Literacy 2.0, how to survive any economy. So these 3 videos are on this channel. You can search them out and watch them if you want to go deeper into financial literacy. But remember, today we are talking about your rent. So the first thing you need to do to help you calculate your rent is to make budgeting a habit. You have to have the habit of budgeting your money before the money comes. So budget before you earn. Money becomes emotional when it hits your account. Many people will say, I will budget when the money comes. But when the money comes, the temptation for dorime and the temptation for suya will make you forget your budget and say, oh boy, I flex first, later I go budget. Before you know it, the money is gone. So when you are also budgeting, the second thing you need to do is make room for flexibility. Don't just budget like a rigid pattern. Budget and be flexible with your budget, because flexibility is harder than rigidity and is more maturity. Then number 3, make plans and room for exigencies. You must have some emergency funds saved for things that are beyond your budget. Nobody budgets for an accident. Nobody budgets for emergencies. Nobody budgets for their phone going bad. Nobody budgets for some kind of things. So you must save for those things, and then you can save the rest. And the best way is, instead of calculating so many things, just find out how much you need to survive in a month and save until you get 6 months survival savings. Then you can invest the rest. Then 4th, prioritize you over emotional blackmails. When budgeting, you should be your priority, not emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmails are those people that want you to carry them when you've not carried yourself. So in life, you must stand and walk before you can carry another person. Sometimes you are just starting work. I even see that even people are just doing youth service. Their family are already calling them, your mom is this, your dad is that, your brother is this, all kinds of issues. And you try being the super helper that helps everybody. Premature help will destroy both you that is helping and the person that is helped. So you must stand before you can help. Prioritize yourself. And one of the greatest destroyers of uprising people from poor families is overstretch and overhelp. When you come from a poor background, you have this mind that, we are suffering, I will help everybody once I get money. And then you get little money, you've not built your foundation for money. You start trying to become God. Who is God? God is El Shaddai that will help everybody. When you try to be El Shaddai, you end up being I Shaddai, and you will die because you get a little money. You want to solve the sick uncle, the sick cousin. You want to pay school fees. You want to do everything from small money, and you end up stretching yourself beyond limit and falling back down to the poverty that you were already rising from. So a standard budget based on the summary of all practical recommendations globally should be like this. Food should be 15% of your budget. Transportation should be 15% of your budget. Rent should be 30% of your budget. Tithe should be 10% of your budget. Whether you're a Christian or a Muslim or an atheist, you should tithe to something. You must not tithe to the church. You can tithe to the poor, to your club, to your anything. Your future, which is your investment, paying yourself first, should be 20%. Charity should be 5%. And your fund should be 5%. With all this budget for your fund. So if you can screenshot this to help you and be a guide on how to allocate your funds. And if you do this, you are now going to start living your size per time. So your rent should never exceed 30% of your income or your salary. So that's how you know the size of the house you should live in. Even your TP, ideally, apart from Lagos that has a unique situation, you shouldn't live 15 minutes away from your workplace. And that's why I resigned when I worked in Lagos. I was working in the island and living in the mainland. I told my employer, if you don't provide me a house, no matter how small, even if it's a bacha, on the island, I will not work with you anymore, because I can't be traveling for 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening, 6 hours every day to go to work. So the healthiest workplaces should be 15 minutes to your home. So with knowing this, that your TP shouldn't be too far and your house shouldn't be more than 30%, let's now go into some practical sample calculations. For instance, if you're earning 100,000 naira per month in Nigeria, it means your food should be 15k, your transport should be 15k, your rent should be 30% of 100k, which is 30k per month. And you know in Nigeria, we pay rent annually, so you shouldn't live in a house that is more than 350 or 360K for 12 months. So any house above 350 is not the right size of house for you. Your tithe should be 10K per month. Your future should be 20K per month. The money you invest. Remember how to invest. For instance, this 100K, if it sustains you, that 20K, you save it every month until you have 600K in your savings account. When you now hit 600K, anything above 600K, you now invest it, because the 600K becomes your emergency fund, so that if anything happens to you, you can survive for the next 6 months on that money while looking for another job. Your charity should be 5K. Your fund should be 5K. So if you are earning 100K, you shouldn't do dorime of more than 5K. I see some people earning 100K, and once they get the money, that first day they'll chop unkwobi ishewu with their babe, and before you know it, 50K is gone. It means you and your babe can't flex more than 5K. So this is a typical budget, and life is not fixated. Remember, I told you about flexibility. So sometimes you might live close to your office and you don't spend that much on transportation. You add it to your food because maybe food is expensive where you stay. This is just a guide. Then number 2, let's go for the minimum wage. The minimum wage in Nigeria is 70K. It means those earning 70K shouldn't spend more than 10.5K on food. TP 10.5K. Then your rent is 30% of 70K is 21K. Times it by 12 is 250K. So you shouldn't stay in a house of more than 250K. And if you are in Port Harcourt, that means like a self-contained. Your tithe should be 7K every month. You should pay yourself 14K. Save it until you have 70 times 6 is about 420K. When you have 420K, you can now start investing. Then your charity should be 3.5K. Your fund should be 3.5K. Then I have a very terrible situation. I discovered a security friend told me that their security firm, even as of 2026, pays them 33,000. I didn't know anybody was earning less than 50,000 in Nigeria. Even my cleaner doesn't earn this low. So I was surprised. So let's go down with the most ridiculous wage I've heard in Nigeria in 2026. If you are earning 33K, it means your food is about 5K. Your transport is about 5K. Your rent should be in a house that you pay like 9K or 10K every month. That means in a year, it should be a house of not more than 120K. If you are earning 33K and you are living in a house where you have to pay more than 120K, you are living in the wrong house. Your tithe should be 3.3K, your future 6.6K, charity 1.6K, and thereabouts. So with this, you can now know what to do with your income, how to live in the right house. But what do you do when 15% of your income cannot feed you? Remember, you can't stay without food and you can't survive without food. So when 15% of your income that is meant to be for food cannot feed you, remember when I said 30% of your income cannot house you, squat. When 15% cannot feed you, prioritize. You can just do 3 things instead of budgeting for all those things I listed. You can just budget for food, tithe, and future. These are the 3 things you should never compromise: your food, your tithe, and your future. Because if you don't tithe, you don't get the blessings of God. If you don't pay your future, you don't have a future. So when you are earning 33K, you can decide, okay, I'll live close to my office so that I don't have to pay transport K, and I can add the transport money to the food money so that I'll be using 20K for food. And then if you tithe 3.3K, your future, you can tithe 6.6K, or you can reduce it to 10%. It must not be 20%, and just save 10% of your earnings for your future. But remember, the more future you save, the faster you leave this job, because you'll be able to save enough money to leave the job. Then others, you can save 10% or 20% for other things. But the most important thing is food, tithe, and future. Very important. Your food so that you survive, your tithe so that God will bless you, your future so that you have a future. So this is your financial future, and why I recommend 20% of your income to go into your future for 6 months of emergencies, and the rest you invest it in an investment vehicle that is simple, sustainable, and secure. So you must find an investment that is simple, sustainable, and secure. So if you save 10% of all your earning, you are going to have a safe and average future tomorrow. If you save 20% of all your earning and invest it, you're going to be rich tomorrow. If you save 40% of all your earnings and invest it, you're going to be wealthy tomorrow. If you save 50% and above above, you're going to be super wealthy. I started with 50% and above. When I was working with a real estate company, I wasn't paid salary, but from my transport allowance, I was doing 10%. And then when I started earning a little commission, I was doing 20%. But when I started earning large commission, I started doing 50%. And that's what got me to where I am. What I used to do, I pay 50% of my money and use it to buy land. The other 50%, after I take out my tithes, expenses, and other things, whatever remains, I spend it on publicity. And that's how I used to build my brand. So your initial target should be to look for how to cancel your transport money and add it to your future. For instance, if 15% of your income can actually feed you and 15% goes to transport, look for how to squat close to your office and add that to your 20% for your future. You have almost 75%. Then you can make your future 55% for you to be super wealthy. The charity, you can make it 10% and your fun 10%. That's when you can have more fun and more charity, when you now have your own house. But the superlative target, the highest target you can have if you want financial freedom, is to make sure the return on your investment gives you financial independence. Financial independence is when your ROI is equal to your life expenses. Like, I'm financially independent now because rent is my investment, because I invest in rental properties. The money they pay me for rent, if I don't work again till I die, the money will take care of my feeding, my fuel, and my recharge card. But that money is not enough to handle my traveling, my flexing, my going around the world. So absolute financial freedom is when that ROI gets to an amount that even if I travel around the world, I cannot finish it. Then I'll be absolutely financially free. I'm hoping to be absolutely financially free by the end of 2026 if things work fast by grace, or end of 2027. Live your size and live stress-free. And your size is live where 30% of your salary can pay your rent and expend your rent monthly. Remember, salary is not paid annually, they are paid monthly. So it's also your responsibility to be saving that money for your landlord. What it means is that this percentage is rent is 30% and they pay you your salary monthly. Let's say they pay you 100,000. The 30% is 30,000. You need to open an account for your rent and be paying the 30,000 there every month, so that by the time December next year reaches where your rent will expire, what you have there is 360,000. You just pay your landlord either 300 or 350 according to the house. But if you are eating it and hoping that when December reach, you manufacture money by calling the mayor of housing, you go beg, tire. So leave your size. Make sure the house is 30% of your income. Squatting is not a shame. I was squatting as the mayor of housing till 2021. 2022, I moved to Port Harcourt. I more or less lived in a hotel that year. 2023, I now moved into a house. So squatting is not a shame. It's prudence. If your money no reach to rent house, squat. 5 of una they sleep for one room for one bacha, no wahala. Squat until you can make it. Now, this is my meme of the year. There are a lot of things I have not done the past 2 years because of the CFO of Alessa. There are a lot of things I'm not doing. I've not changed cars since the past 4 years because of Alessa. I'm only preparing for the great launch of Alessa. And when the rubber band on these guys, this thing takes off, when they say, oh, your mask, guess said, those other guys might start running and he's still going back. The further back he goes, the more the trust he will have when that rubber shoots out. So please, if you never reach to get house, respect yourself and squat and start saving. So you set yourself free through 5 ways. Number 1, budget will set you free. Number 2, investing will set you free. Number 3, don't just invest. Invest it in a vehicle that compounds. That means put your ROI back and keep compounding. Number 4, let your ROI set you free when it's enough to handle your monthly expenses and you are financially free. Number 5, teach other people, and that is what I am doing here today. And if you can do that, I will see you in your freedom. Thank you very much. You've heard the say that give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. But if you teach a man to fish and you don't give him the hook and the bait and the line to start fishing, he might not start fishing. So in this channel, we teach you how to fish and we also give you the bait, because we are building the most educative, the most generous channel in Africa. Education for teaching you how to fish and generosity to to give you the bait to go start fishing. So why don't you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share this channel to others. It is not how to calculate your rent that is the major challenge. The major challenge is how to be true to yourself. I don't know why we have a propensity for living false to ourselves. And falsehood is the duplicity of personality or the duality that compromises the integrity or integer of integrity. Integrity is when you are true to yourself, true to your income, true to your financial size, true to everything concerning you, and not living a dual or duplicit or fake life. So living in a house that is above your budget is trying to deceive people that don't care about you, but deceiving yourself is the greatest human folly, and you're of all men most miserable. So it's better you calculate yourself not only to budget so that you can be free, because a budget does not restrict you. A budget actually frees you. And one of the greatest delights I have about spending money is the guiltless spending. Spending becomes less guilty and lack without guilt when you have invested in your future, paid your tithe, and taking care of your monthly responsibilities. Whatever is left, you can blow it on anything you like and not feel guilty about it. But the greatest guiltless money is when you have grown your income to when like 1% of your income can take care of your needs. And you can be the rare species of human beings called philanthropists that can use money to show your good heart. And instead of begging, stressing, and stressing yourself and other people, why don't you cut your coat according to your size, which is one of the oldest but strongest wisdom? But instead of just cutting it according to your size, why don't you gradually grow you and become bigger and grow your income and make a bigger income to become a bigger person to live in a bigger house? After all, wanting to start big is the greatest show of cowardice. Starting small and growing big is the greatest show of courage. So wanting to live big where you cannot afford is not just cowardice, but deceptive cowardice and the greatest form of irresponsibility. Be responsible today. Make a budget not only for your house and where you live. Make a budget for everything so that you do it with delight. Make a budget for growth. Make a budget for development. Make a budget for everything that is important to you, and allow your budget to set you free. One thing I know is that help loves to come to the responsible and flee from the irresponsible. The same thing with money. Money loves to go to where it is responsibly budgeted and flee from where it is not budgeted. So not only budget your money, money also exceptionally loves to go where it is multiplied and loves to avoid places where it is wasted. And that's why the rich that multiply money are getting richer, and the poor that spend money are getting poorer. Choose you this day who you want to be. The rich that are multiplying money, or the poor that are wasting money. And guess what? Whatever you choose, you're right. If you choose to be the poor, you get poorer. If you choose to be the rich, you get richer. But the choice is not by words. The choice is by action. And the first action, bring out a piece of paper, bring out a calculator, and budget your life according to your income today, and stop stressing. And please, that will not only solve your financial problems, but 95% of our health challenges and diseases of the 21st century are related to stress. You can remove that stress of unbudgeted finances and not calculating your rent. You also see your health, your happiness, and every other thing about you soar. So today, I've given you this clarion call, not just for you to budget and calculate the right house where you'll be, but for you to budget and calculate your life in a way that allows you to measure yourself. Because what you don't measure, you can't improve. And if you can't improve your life, then why are you here on earth? So the best way to improve is to measure. And I'm hoping you can be courageous enough to not only measure, but begin your improvement journey today. Thank you, and see you at the top when you improve. So turn your happiness and your smile to your lot today. And I'll see you on the other side.
Hey, Lele, this is super duper amazing that you found my content valuable enough for you to watch till the end. Only 5% of exceptional people do that. You're exceptional, and I deeply love and appreciate you. Hey, Lele, don't just watch to learn. watch to take action. And the first action is subscribe and hit the notification button so you don't miss any of our daily value action. Remember, only doers are winners.